All right, welcome to another episode of Talking Ball with Pat Leonard. This is First Down with Benny Fowler, Week 14 recap edition. We have our Super Bowl champion, former NFL wide receiver, here to break down all the action. We've got our shout-outs, we've got analysis, we've got projections into the future as the playoffs come into focus. First, want to tell you about our sponsors. My bookie is rolling out the red carpet for sports bettors this season, including risk-free Thursdays. The best deal going still using my promo code PATSPICKS and getting a 50% match now on your first deposit of $50 or more, all the way up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. Came back to earth a little bit against the spread this week, but still got you some prop bet wins on those giant sprinkles. Kendre Miller scoring for the New Orleans Saints. First touchdown, anytime touchdown there, and over his rushing yards, backing up Alvin Kamara. My bookie, bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Also brought to you by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink. Natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants and heart-healthy compounds. You can easily pour this natural liquid supplement into any of your favorite drinks. I put mine in my coffee every morning and immediately feel the difference. I personally have felt a post-workout-like energy boost with Boom. Easy for me to say. Chaga also has the ability to lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and improve immune and heart health with its beta-glucans and antioxidants. Go to boomchaga.com today to place your first order. Use that discount code TalkingBall25 or the QR code on your screen and get 25% off your first order on the subscribe and save option. Right now, that means a month's supply costs you only $30. Start feeling the difference today at boomchaga.com. And, of course, brought to you by Estate 98 Coffee, a specialty coffee concentrate, perfect for when you want to make a quick cup and skip the lines. Takes me less than 10 seconds to make a delicious cup of Estate 98 coffee, hot or cold, and it's great as a mixer for espresso martinis. Each bottle also makes up to 16 cups. Go to estate98.com/talkingball to get an exclusive offer for 80% off your first order. We do that Estate 98 Giants trivia question every Talking Ball Live. And almost everybody who has received a free bottle has come back to me and ordered more themselves on that link, estate98.com/talkingball. It's a great deal. It's a great product. Go get it now. And on to First Down with Benny Fowler now on Talking Ball with Pat Leonard here on the Believe Network. All right, welcome back to Talking Ball with Pat Leonard here on the Believe Network and on the PL on NFL YouTube channel. Listen to us on Apple, on Spotify. Check us out on YouTube. But obviously, we wouldn't be what we are without the Super Bowl 50 champion, former NFL wide receiver, our good friend Benny Fowler. Beans, what's up? Welcome.
Pat, what's going on, man? Really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. I'm buzzing a little bit about the Irish being in the college football playoff, but you know, we're still going to talk some NFL here. We're still going to talk some NFL. We always do our shout outs every week. Feels like there's a lot to do this week, some great performances, but I want you to lead us off and kind of lead the way wherever you feel like our first shout out begins or the biggest topic or game that you want to talk about. The floor is yours.
I mean, I got to start with the shout outs with Rams, Bills, but shouting out both teams for the amount of touchdowns scored and combined with no turnovers, 44-42, the Rams getting it done. But I think one of the things, or the performance that really stands out is Josh Allen. I mean, 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns. I don't think it solidified him as the MVP, but that's just something that's just an incredible performance. And it hasn't been done since Otto Graham. I think they were putting that on SportsCenter today. So Josh Allen doing some incredible things. I mean, right now he's playing like the best player in the league. And he's just such a dominant player with the throwing ability and the accuracy he's now throwing the ball with. And then also what he can do on the ground. And then also him, being in LA and wearing the Kobe Grinch cleats yesterday on Sunday. So shout out to Josh Allen. And then also another shout out to Matthew Stafford playing some incredible football, throwing passes on the money. I mean, that 4th and 5 in the fourth quarter where he hits Tutu Atwell on a small 10 to 12 yard dig route, looking over to the right and then coming back left. I mean, Matthew Stafford plays incredible ball in the fourth quarter and got the Rams to win. So those are my shout outs. I mean, those are 2 incredible performances right there by 2 incredible quarterbacks. So that's where I'm leading off today.
No doubt. Yeah. Puka, 12 for 162 and a touchdown. Kyron Williams, Irish, 2 touchdown, even though they really couldn't get it going on the ground. Benny, question about this game. Credit to Stafford and the Rams and McVay. I mean, obviously, when they're on, they're as hard to defend as anybody, and especially when they're healthy, which they aren't always. But what do you make of the Bills defense in this game? I mean, not it's exciting. It's a high scoring game, but coming into this, they gave up 10, 10, 27, 20, 21, and 10. Seemed like they were pretty consistent at, I know McDermott likes to do the bend but don't break, keep the ball in front of you, that kind of thing. I just got to be honest, I didn't see a 44 point, hemorrhaging for the Bills defense coming. What did you see and why that happened? And why, I mean, to your point, Josh Allen's basically making NFL history here and you lost the game. So like how do you explain that? What did you see from the Rams offense versus the Bills defense here? I asked this especially in the context of this is a Super Bowl contender. So all these teams that I'm watching, the Lions, the Eagles, the Bills, the Chiefs at the top, you're evaluating them on a different scale.
Yeah, I would say what really sticks out is the fact that you don't always see these types of offenses. The Bills, I mean, they see it with Miami, but they don't see it with this type of quarterback. So this offense and Sean McVay, they will keep you guessing and they will attack your weaknesses. And that's what Sean McVay and that's what, Matthew Stafford, that's what they did. So I actually give more credit just to the Rams in terms of a Cooper Kupp, a Puka Nacua, their receiving core, and then also what they were able to do. They had a lot of complementary plays. And if the Rams get ahead of you, it's going to be hard to stop them just because of all of the different things that they can do within the offense. So it is a little bit alarming on the Bills side of things. But at the same time, I mean, let's give credit to the Rams and the way they were able to keep the Bills. They just kept them guessing, and the Bills were guessing wrong. I mean, they showed some of the clips on ESPN today in terms of the jet sweeps that Puka Nacua was running, and then also the tosses that they ran off of it, and then the play action that they ran off of it. So that's just what you call complementary football and offenses who can complement the plays off of one another. So that's what I would actually give it more credit to.
That's a great point about getting ahead and controlling the game because, to your point, there are teams that have penchants for coming back and they develop that kind of character and reputation and that resilience. But it is a different game, right? That you're coaching when you're up and when you're ahead, especially when you have a two-pronged offense and a running game that, like, I thought it was fascinating in this game. I mentioned Kyron Williams, but he only gained 3 yards a carry. He only had 87 yards rushing. He ran the ball 29 times, Benny. So that's 29 for 87 for an average of 3. So that's McVay staying committed to it. And, Matthew Stafford obviously keeping them ahead of the chains, but able to stay balanced because you're ahead, right? Able to kind of stay committed to that part of the game because if there's any priority in this game other than scoring points, it's keeping the ball out of Josh Allen's hands, right?
100%. I mean, we'll see the same scheme this week when Buffalo plays Detroit. It's pretty much the same scheme in terms of the jet sweep motion, what Ben Johnson will do. Ben Johnson's a little bit different in terms of the trick plays that he'll call, but there will be a lot of motion. So let's see how Buffalo actually reacts to this offense. They will see a similar type West Coast zone cutting type of offense this week against Detroit. And if Buffalo gets behind early, we'll see the same type of thing. They'll be able to keep them off balance because they're not going to be winning the game. Now, with that being said, if Buffalo does get off to a hot start and they don't get a punt blocked or anything like that, where they get down in the game and they get a 7-point lead or a 14-point lead, let's actually see how Detroit responds to that and how they come back, because their offense is also not built just to come back against these types of teams because they always have to run the ball. It's, you see this with Kyle Shanahan's offense. You see it in Houston. You see it with the Rams. It's a run first, run heavy offense, and everything fits off the play action. You see it with Minnesota as well. So let's see how things unfold in Detroit this week. But I don't know if Buffalo went all the way back to Buffalo, or if they're staying on the West Coast / do they stop in the Midwest? Because that's a long trip for 2 road games in a row.
Good point. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, actually. It's a good question. You mentioned the Lions as a good segue. First of all, I know it was the Thursday night game, but that was a really impressive win in my mind. Not that I was surprised Detroit won the game, was at home after all, but Benny, I did not see them scoring 34 against this Packers defense. I thought that was the most surprising part of this game. Not that I'm surprised that their offensive line has success, that Goff and the running game can work, and that Ben Johnson can call the plays, but they're just so banged up right now on both sides of the ball. I thought this was a critical win. I thought the Packers had a really good chance to shift the entire landscape of the NFC here. And frankly, I thought they let it slip away as well. My question to you is, what impressed you most about the win from the Lions? And then also, are they healthy enough to win this game against Buffalo? I mean, they just showed me, obviously, proved me wrong that they could beat the Packers, even who were playing well, despite all these injuries. It just feels like at some point that might catch up to them, but maybe not.
Maybe not. I don't think so. I mean, I think what I took away from the Detroit Green Bay game is that Detroit is incredibly resilient. I think they continue to be resilient. I think they continue to have the leadership of their offense, their defense, and then their head coach. You can see them following the lead of their leaders. I think Jared Goff continues to make plays. And then also, yes, they are banged up, but people continue to come up big for them. They've had the replacement linebackers coming up big, and then shout out to Tim Patrick, former Bronco receiver, but getting in the end zone twice after coming off 2 season-ending injuries. So that just shows the type of depth that they have. That also shows the importance of the general manager and how he is finding complementary pieces for their offense, their defense, their special teams, for people to fill in and make plays. And that's what it's going to take to actually win a Super Bowl, is that you have to be able to have those types of things and those types of people fill in. Here we won the Super Bowl in Denver. Peyton actually missed 8 games, but our defense was able to step up. Brock Osweiler comes in, plays 7 games. We go 5-2 in those games. We finish off 12-4, number 1 seed. So you're going to have to find a way to fight through those injuries and to continue to push forward. So I think Detroit continues to show that they're super resilient. Also, a takeaway from that game is that Jordan Love is insanely talented. I mean, he just makes incredible throws where it's just like, all right, he's top 3 in the league in terms of throwing the ball on the run, on the move, decision, playmaking. It's crazy that it's only his 2nd year starting. So exciting things to come in Green Bay.
Yeah, he's an interesting quarterback because it's almost like you're seeing him develop before your eyes, right? Like you see the raw talent that needs to be honed or developed, and that's not quite there in certain situations. But then you see the ability, the talent, the reason why he was drafted where he was drafted, the reason why they felt comfortable handing him the ball, all those things. You're right. I envisioned Josh Jacobs running the ball about 50 times in that game. I knew the Lions were banged up. I did not see Love just bombs away throughout the game, pushing it down the field to all these receivers, Watson, et cetera. But yeah, that was really impressive. You mentioned Tim Patrick. Shout out to Tim Patrick, no doubt. He's a guy you've always told me about as like a true pro. Sounds like a really good dude. Seemed like everybody was really happy for him. And
absolutely,
Benny, is there anything harder than going through the type of thing that he did as a professional athlete, like where you have that ability and you keep having those like season ending setbacks, and you're spending those months in like a gym somewhere with 3 other people, and you just have to trust it? Like, how does a guy like him go from where he was 3 years ago through all of that to come out to this moment? How do you stay ready for that moment when your body keeps letting you down?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's more of a question for him. I haven't been through those types of injuries. I think if I can think about it, I think Tim has an incredible love for the game. It kind of reminds me of my brother. My brother tore his ACL 3 times before he went to college, and he just had an incredible love for the game, and it actually made him a better player. He ends up playing college basketball at Central Michigan and then professional basketball overseas and in the D League. And I think those people are just super resilient, but they have a love for the game and they know they're super capable, and they just want a chance. And Tim, going through training camp this year, going through training camp healthy and being a friend of his, he just wanted another chance to show that he could do this. And he's taking full advantage of it. I mean, he takes care of his body, he takes care of his mind, and he's playing for, a purpose beyond himself. It's him, but then also now he's on a winning team and in a team that has a chance to do something special, and he's taking full advantage of it.
Yeah, he reminds me of a guy who was here, bounced around to the Bears, Colin Johnson, guy who, like every preseason that he's healthy, when he goes on the field against the, backups of other teams, it's like he stands out above everybody. And ramping up into a season or into an early part of a season, you always feel like he's on the verge of something, and then it's an Achilles or a knee or whatever. But Patrick's a great example of, and your brother's a great example of, perseverance can pay off. It won't always pay off, but it can pay off. I just think super impressive. And shout out to Tim. Shout out to your brother, obviously. I actually partially tore my calf recently playing men's basketball, Benny. So I got
Pat, what are you doing out there, man? You need to.
I've been telling like, oh, that, I'm helping coach basketball. There were some like fifth graders in the gym the other day. I told them I heard it dunking. So, I can't prove to them that I wasn't trying to dunk when I did it. So
Right.
I'm leaving them all thinking in the back of their minds. But yeah, PT coming for me. Staying on the topic of contenders, we've talked Bills, we've talked Lions, shout outs there. Wanted to address the Philadelphia Eagles with you here because, of course, if the Lions do trip up a little bit, the 1 seed is still in play for the Eagles. But Benny, I wanted to ask you about, they beat the Carolina Panthers 22-16. But after the game, the feeling in the locker room, it's not just, the criticism of the harsh Philly fans. The players in the locker room are not happy. A.J. Brown was asked what needs to improve with the offense. He said passing.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts had 108 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Saquon goes for 20, 124, 6.2 per carry. My question to you, though, is does a performance like this, concerning performance by the passing game, the inability for them to feel like they could rely truly in a game they needed to on Jalen Hurts' arm, does this make you seriously question what we thought we learned last week when they beat the Ravens, which is that they are a certifiable contender?
I don't question Philly at all. And I think, yeah, of course you want to pass. You want the passing game to be super explosive and you want to hit all the passes. You want to have above 70% completion. But at the end of the day, I think they won the game 22-16. Yeah. And that's really all that matters. If they have a whole bunch of ugly wins and they win the Super Bowl, that's all that matters. So I think A.J. Brown wants to have incredible stats, and he's such an incredible playmaker that he wants to do well. And for the most part, on all passing plays, he is going to be the best option. So I understand what he's saying. Jalen also wants to play better. But now it's time to move on. Yes, you want the passing game to be better. You want things to flow better. But right now, they're trying to play for the number 1 seed. You have an incredible running game right now. You can lean on the offensive line. Why not just continue to do that? Take the positives and continue to move forward and then correct the negatives. I mean, what's the point of sulking after a win in the league? You guys are 10-2. So play for the number 1 seed. And let's go for that. And let's continue to play for that. So I think that's how I see it. I wouldn't say it's concerning because at the end of the day, you're winning. And, you can look at Kansas City the same way. Yeah, ugly wins. They clearly know how to win these games though. So
Kansas City's astounding. The follow-up about the Eagles, they seem really tense at home. I know the Eagles fans, they can be harsh. They stay on top of the team when they tell them when things aren't looking good enough. They look like a different team at home to me, though. Have you ever been on a team where it was like you guys played really freely on the road, but when you came home, it just felt like trying not to mess up? And is that a real thing that you've seen around the league if you haven't experienced it yourself?
that's definitely a real thing. I would say when you have a lot of promise and you have a lot of ability, I think, Philly going to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, then starting the season off last year 10-1, and then now being 10-2, there's a lot of pressure. And there's a lot of pressure at home, a tremendous amount of pressure at home. Number one, you have an incredible fan base who understands the game and understands how it's being played. You have a fiery head coach who was on the hot seat early in the season. You have a quarterback who's one of the top paid quarterbacks. You have an incredible receiving core that wants to do well. And then you made this free agent splash in Saquon Barkley, who is in the MVP race and just broke the franchise rushing record. There's a lot of pressure on you to do well. And there's a lot of pressure on you to basically go to the Super Bowl. So yeah, it's super tense. When you go on the road, those teams, the other teams' fans hate you. So they want to see you lose, and you rally together and you rally out there against that. When you're at home, everybody is for you and you don't want to mess up. So I think that's kind of the pressure that they're going through right now.
Yeah, really interesting coming down the stretch here. The Lions, who are 12-1, have the Bills, Bears, Niners, and Vikings. The Eagles, who are 11-2, have the Steelers, Commanders, Cowboys, and Giants. So this week, especially with Bills, Lions, and Eagles, Steelers, a very important one, and maybe the critical one that could decide the number one seed or open the door if the Eagles want to step in. Benny, another shout out I think is deserved, and I'm sure these guys are on your list or on the fringe of your list, is Sam Darnold, Kevin O'Connell, and these Minnesota Vikings. 347, 5 touchdowns for Sam Darnold. Jordan Addison, 133 and 3 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson, of course, involved 132 and 2 touchdowns. Just, I mean, for a team, you look around the league, I think most teams this year, I don't know if you'd agree with this or not, have been something close to what we expected they would be. Even the Chargers, who are in the playoff hunt in the AFC, because of their schedule, Jim Harbaugh, a strong quarterback and some toughness, not totally shocking us. I guess the Broncos you could throw in here as a team who kind of has caught everybody by surprise. But Minnesota, I mean, what a dramatic difference between what we thought they were going to be and what they are. What did you see in this game, and what do you feel like they are doing so well as a team and as an offense that makes them just so much more explosive and has given them such a different identity than what we were anticipating, or what I was anticipating at least?
I mean, I think Kevin O'Connell is putting himself in the coach of the year category along with, Sean Payton and also Mike Tomlin. And I think, Kevin O'Connell has really put himself in that position. And I think what I saw from Sam Darnold is just great pocket presence, being on time with the football. But I think we've talked about it on the pod before. Minnesota has incredible weapons. Justin Jefferson, first round pick, top 2 receiver in the league. I would, him or Jamar Chase, you just pick the day. But, both of those guys. Jordan Addison, I believe, is another first round pick.
He is.
Then you got Hawkinson. Then you got Aaron Jones. And then you have a great offensive line. And then you have somebody who can call plays and knows how to get people into the right positions to be successful. But I think Sam Darnold, I mean, he rolled out, was getting pressured, stepped up in the pocket, then rolled back out to the right. Justin Jefferson gets lost, and he makes that throw. But Sam Darnold of 2 years ago panics, takes the sack, or makes a boneheaded play. So I think
great point.
Sam Darnold taking a year, being in Kyle Shanahan's offense and being in that meeting room and seeing how that goes and how to really understand the game, and then going to Kevin O'Connell, runs a similar offense, and now you have this expertise and you come in here to really be the bridge quarterback and to be the vet in the room. Then you have an opportunity, and he's making the most of it. I mean, let's not forget, I mean, Sam Darnold was number 2 overall pick or whatever he was. So he has incredible talent. He has the ability. Now, what is he, 28, 27? So, I mean, he was really learning how to be a pro, and he was in a really shitty situation in New York. And now look at him having this incredible opportunity with some real coaching.
I mean, talk about a guy who's making himself some money, right? I mean, you're right. We talked about this actually right at the start of the season. He was, and this team was, kind of the topic of the early part of the season. You mentioned, that was a good point you made too about like the line. They're figuring out how to protect with some of these injuries now. And also he's making plays by rolling out and making plays with his arm on the move. Because I remember last week they were really struggling to protect him. Mm-hmm. And you could see things struggling when they can't get the run going and they're struggling to protect. But man, they seem to have solved that. Conversely, I did not expect to be asking this question today, but so the Atlanta Falcons, they've lost 4 in a row. Kirk Cousins now has 6 interceptions, no touchdowns the last 2 games. Now, they did gain almost 500 yards of offense in this game. So just to be clear, but their defense, Raheem Morris, first-year head coach, Benny, well-liked guy. They stood by that hiring. Obviously, Belichick was in the building. They hire Raheem Morris. They allowed 433 yards in this game and got their doors blown off. I mean, by a Vikings team that coming in was, finding ways to win, but it's not like It's not like they were the Detroit Lions. Do you think Raheem Morris could be one and done here? Am I overreacting to this? Like, based on the fact that Arthur Blank is famously, he's impatient. You look at the way they paid Kirk Cousins and assembled this team and what their internal expectations are, not what yours and mine are necessarily, but from my vantage point, if this continues, I would say jobs on the line here, but I want to know what you think here regarding Raheem Morris, the Falcons, and is this a panic button situation, or is this, hey, it's year one, they weren't going to be good in the first place?
I think it's a little bit of both. I didn't necessarily think that they were going to be all that good. So I think it really just depends. I thought they thought that Kirk was going to be able to come in there and help them win the division, but he was coming off an Achilles, and I think him and Rodgers just don't look the same. And usually it takes about a year or 2 years to come off from Achilles or an ACL. So that's kind of what I would put that on. It's a little alarming that Kirk hasn't thrown any touchdowns and 8 interceptions in the last 2 games. That's just
6,
or 6. Yeah, that's just a lot. But yeah, I would say you have to give him at least another year, unless these last 4 losses become humiliating losses. Now, if they're close games and they're competitive and they finish off 8-9 or 9-8, yeah, give them another year. But you're not going to bring somebody else in to just turn it around. I mean, it's a little bit of roster, it's a little bit of offense, a little bit of defense. He has his primary control over the defense. So, I think you got to give it some time.
That was set up for a classic, you like that Kirk Cousins revenge game,
Oh, especially against Minnesota, but
yeah.
they
Didn't
got revenge.
Yeah. No, it didn't play out that way. But yeah, again, just kind of like not the same way, but it's so weird to see like Josh Allen score 6 touchdowns and the Bills to lose. Or you look at the Falcons, almost 500 yards of offense and losing a game that the final score is not very close. Just points to obviously bigger problems overall, like you said. Benny, not to give them too much oxygen, but the Giants yesterday were there at MetLife Stadium, and there was a plane flying overhead around the stadium and over the stadium prior to the game. And it was dragging a banner through the sky, and it said, "Mr. Mara, enough. Please fix this dumpster fire." Now, we know what that says. We know what message it sends. We know that this should be happening already, to full-scale turnover with the Giants. Question to you is, if you're a player on a game day like that, are you aware of that when you go on the field? Like, let's say it's not directly overhead, so you don't necessarily see it, but are you able to kind of check social media in the couple hours leading up to the game and internalize that and be aware of it? Or do guys pretty much keep their heads down when it comes to game day?
I bet that was the sign being, I bet it was talked about pregame or in the locker room or by one of the coaches or just somebody around there. I mean, you can't miss it, but I think the players already know that the writing's kind of on the wall, and then things like that are just super embarrassing. So, heads are going to turn, probably going to clean house. If Saquon breaks the record against you guys last game of the season, then it's really going to be hell. Especially, well, at least I know Joe Sheen will be out, so Daniel not being there. So, yes, I don't think the players. I think it weighs on them because they have a part in this, but you can only do so much. Everybody in the NFL is talented. Are you putting these players in a position to win? Right now they're playing for draft position, so they're not playing to win games.
Yeah. I mean, something else. Benny, I got to be honest, like today's Monday, December 9th. We are about 3 weeks later than I thought was an obvious time to make firings here in New York. They are actually, believe it or not, they're in jeopardy of being the first 0-9 at home team in NFL history because they're 0-7 now. They're going to play Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday. Lamar has already said his mom was upset with him for not running enough against the Eagles prior to his bye week. So that's who the Giants are getting. And then they have the Indianapolis Colts in late December. So they could go 0-9 at home this season. Depressing days here in North Jersey. I don't know if you have any other shout outs. I have one more game I wanted to ask you about, but if you have any other shout outs, we'd dive into them.
I would say it's a shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, playing some complimentary football and Mike Tomlin, their defense, Russell Wilson playing great football, the way they're running the ball. Shout out to those guys. I mean, that's a dangerous team in the AFC. And I think they're going to get a home playoff game if they end up winning the division. So Pittsburgh's a hard place to play.
So that actually brings me to the game I wanted to talk about, Chiefs Chargers, because I told you last week that Steelers are going to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs.
No chance.
And I love the disagreement. It's going to go all the way up to game day because we know that matchup's going to happen now. What did you learn anything more about the Chiefs in this game? And I'm also curious what you learned about with the Chargers. I have to be honest, I didn't expect the Chargers to be in this game at all. I know they've been covering a lot of spreads and keeping games close. They're just really banged up. They don't have much on the field, especially offensively, without Dobbins, with Lad McConkey hurt. What did you learn about these two teams? And do you feel any differently about my Steelers prediction?
Chargers are always going to be a tough team now with Jim Harbaugh being there. Just an incredible coach, knows how to coach, knows how to play tough games. I didn't think it was ever going to be a blowout. Number one, Kansas City can't blow anybody out right now, just based off of the way their offensive line is playing. And then also it's a division game. And the Chargers always play the Chiefs really well. What did I learn? I didn't really learn anything. I think we'll see how Humphreys plays at the left tackle position. But I think, right now their offensive line is just not good. But I like the 1-2 punch of Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. I think Hopkins will continue to make plays. He's in the end zone almost every other week or every week since he's joined the team. He got one ball jarred out, but that would have been an explosive play. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, makes incredible plays. And right now they're just playing complimentary football, and not complimentary football in terms of blowing people out, but what does it take to win the game? Okay, we get the ball back with 4 minutes and 50 seconds left. We're going to run the clock out, and we're going to get first downs, and then we'll win the game, and you won't have a chance to get the ball at all. So it's tough to beat. If at the end of the day, if you win 19-18 or 21-20, you win. So yeah, ugly wins, but Patrick's not turning the ball over. He can still, I think there's still some receivers open that he's not hitting on time, but I think he's second guessing himself because of protection. But at the end of the day, if he has the ball in the fourth quarter, if he has the ball last, I mean,
no, that's a really good point. They are situationally sound, right? Like you said, if they get it back with 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever, like they have practiced and talked about how they're going to handle that situation, right? Like
somebody brought up a good point too. Talking about Kansas City not blowing anybody out, and the offense hasn't been the same since 2021 or 2022. But they also have been in the Super Bowl the last 2 years, and they've had deep playoff runs the last 6 years or 7 years. They've been in the AFC Championship every year the last 7 years. So they're tired. That's a tired football team. I don't care what anybody says. And they're beat up. So
yeah,
it's actually even quite impressive, even the fact that they're winning these close games.
It's a really good point, because usually, and this goes for all sports too. I remember when I used to cover hockey, et cetera, is like those teams who would go so far every year. Yes, they'd be the best team or one of the best teams every year, but eventually your legs just, they're not there.
Yeah.
You just can't, you're just playing a higher volume than you ever would have expected or than you ever have before. I mean, look at that with the Niners now. That's 100% something that is accumulated for them, right?
Yeah, it's catching up with them.
Benny, one more. This is kind of a big picture question. I'm actually working on a story for the Daily News on this, and completely open-ended question. But so when you watch an NFL game on Sunday, sometimes you see a player make a mistake or a penalty or whatever it is, and you hear the analysts say that either that team or that player is undisciplined.
Mm-hmm.
As a player, what does that word mean to you? Do you think it's an unfair catch-all that is used to describe NFL play? And how do you coach it out of a team if a team is undisciplined and does make a lot of mistakes?
I guess it depends on the context of how an announcer or an analyst is saying they're undisciplined. When I think about undisciplined, I think about a team that is committing penalties, unforced errors all the time. They're jumping off sides or false starts. That to me is undisciplined. That's kind of how I see it, is continuing to make the same mistakes week after week. is how I see an undisciplined team in the NFL.
Got it. Have you, do any coaches stand out to you that you've had who were best at making sure their team did not commit those mistakes, and how did they accomplish it?
I would say, yeah, Gary Kubiak and Sean Payton, the two best coaches that I played for. I mean, it's kind of done in training camp and in the off season. We will not beat ourselves with these types of mistakes. So it's coached early on, and then it's coached every week. But it's an emphasis on cadence, whether it be on offense. It's a emphasis on staying on sides, well, on the defensive side, or unforced errors. They would just coach that out of us early on. I mean,
How?
it
By
was a
taking
point
guys
of
off the
emphasis.
field, or what are they, how do you coach that out of somebody? Like, if you tell somebody, how many times do you tell someone to stop doing it? You know what I mean?
I think it's just an emphasis throughout the entire season. I don't think
Okay.
there's like a punishment because of that. But
Mhm.
yeah, you could take somebody out in practice, or you can I think you just harp on it all the time. You harp on it in walkthrough, you harp on it the day before the game, you harp on it the day of the game. It's just constantly being taught day in and day out. I would say that's how it was done, but no punishment in the league. I mean, if you continue to do it, then yeah, they might sit you down or bench you or fire you.
No, really, really interesting. Yeah, it's a conversation I've had with a lot of players recently, just in regards to trying to play that clean game, but also the people's perception of what a clean or not clean game is, right? Like you just mentioned, you're talking about unforced errors. Like, there's a lot of penalties that you can commit that, like, let's say you're a corner and a receiver beats you on a route and you grab them to try to save a touchdown. Like, that's not lack of discipline, right? That's a guy beating you.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
That's different, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, fascinating stuff. You're always educating me here on Talking Ball. This has been Talking Ball. First Down with Benny Fowler, Super Bowl champion, NFL wide receiver. Benny, you're the man. Thank you so much, as always, for your insight.
Appreciate you, Pat. Talk to you soon.
That was another awesome breakdown of NFL action with Super Bowl 50 champion Benny Fowler, former NFL wide receiver. Reminder, we are brought to you here on Talking Ball with Pat Leonard on the Believe Network and on the PL on NFL YouTube channel by my bookie, rolling out the red carpet for sports bettors. Whether you like betting those giant sprinkle props, the overs, the unders, the underdogs, whatever you like to play, those parlays, they have it for you at my bookie. You got to go check it out and use my promo code Pat's Picks, PATSPICKS, and it will get you a 50% match on your first deposit of $50 or more, all the way up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. You can play my giant sprinkles. You can play those Pats picks, 3 key games to play every week. And we've been winning money for you this season. Kendre Miller, the Saints running back, getting in on a nice prop win this week. My bookie, bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Also brought to you by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, a natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants, and heart-healthy compounds. You can easily pour this natural liquid supplement into any of your favorite drinks. I put mine in my coffee every morning, for example, and immediately feel the difference. I personally have felt a post-workout like energy boost with Boom. Chaga also has the ability to lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and improve immune and heart health with its beta glucans and antioxidants. Go to boomchaga.com today to place your first order. Use that discount code TalkingBall25 or access it through the QR code on your screen. There it is. And get 25% off your first subscribe and save order. Right now, that means a month supply costs you only $30. Start feeling the difference today. Boomchaga.com. Go there now. And brought to you by Estate 98 Coffee, a specialty coffee concentrate that's perfect for when you want to make a quick cup and skip the lines. It takes me less than 10 seconds to make a delicious Estate 98 iced or hot coffee. It's great as a mixer for espresso martinis, and each bottle can make up to 16 cups. Go to estate98.com/talking ball to get an exclusive offer for 80% off your first order. See you next time on Talking Ball with Pat Leonard.